Should farmers be forced to limit the amount of nutrients applied to fields to reduce chemical runoff?
The United States is known as an agricultural country. The US currently has 896 million acres of farmland. To increase the yield of these crops, farmers will apply nutrients such as fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. In 2019, 22 million tons of fertilizer were applied to agricultural fields. The most commonly applied nutrients to crops are nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus because these are what the plant needs and they are vital for plant growth. This application of fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides is leading to agricultural chemical runoff.
The chemicals get in the water sources because of rainfall, snowmelt, or by wind carrying the particles into the water. Agricultural runoff is defined as a non-point source pollution, which means it's a source of pollution that issues from widely distributed or pervasive environmental elements. Agricultural non-point source pollution is the leading source of water quality impacts in the United States.
Chemical runoff has many harmful environmental impacts, all stemming from the pollution of water sources.
Harmful environmental impacts including negative effects on aquatic life such as fish, plants, and other small organisms, bacteria and algal blooms, dead zones and bodies of water, and loss of biodiversity.
Harmful bacteria and algal blooms can have catastrophic effects on bodies of water and the aquatic life in them. Algal blooms are caused by phytoplankton species exploding in numbers because there are large amounts of the nutrients they need because of the chemical runoff. The phytoplankton will feed off of the nitrogen as well as some of the other nutrients.
This large amount of phytoplankton will create red or brown tides. The phytoplankton release toxins into the water, killing fish. The large blooms completely overrun the ecosystem by depleting oxygen in the water, causing dead zones. Dead zones are areas of water that are hypoxic, meaning they lack sufficient oxygen. Very few organisms can live in dead zones, hence the name. The second largest dead zone in the world is in the Gulf of Mexico off the Louisiana coast. This dead zone spans almost 6,000 square miles at its lowest, and the dead zone has been measured up to 9,000 square miles. Because of chemical runoff, many aquatic species are at risk and are dying. This lowers the biodiversity of the water ecosystem as well as the ecosystems that rely on that source of water. Biodiversity is essential to a healthy environment. The Gulf of Mexico dead zone is causing economical impacts as well as environmental impacts. Local fishermen are losing money and must compete for fewer fish. Those that are still active must travel further into the Gulf to retrieve their catch.
Agricultural runoff affects humans' health as well. Many of the chemicals sprayed onto agricultural fields are harmful to human health, and because of runoff, they end up in the drinking water.
To summarize, agricultural runoff is caused by the over-application of fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides onto agricultural fields, and then being washed away into various water sources. These chemicals have many harmful environmental effects such as bacterial and algal blooms, which cause dead zones, loss of aquatic life, and the loss of biodiversity. Agricultural runoff also has negative economical impacts with the fishermen in the Gulf, and most importantly, impacts human health by contaminating drinking water.
Most of these harmful effects can be slowed down or even reversed if farmers were to limit the amount of nutrients applied to their fields. This is why I conclude that there should be a limit on the amount of pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers applied to agricultural crops to reduce the amount of chemical runoff.